Now, the Campaign for Human Rights and Development International, CHADI, has raised concerns over the judiciary's failure to adhere to principles of transparency and accountability, critical for any government institution aiming to achieve its objective. Now, since October 2024, CHADI said they have formally requested for information on the volume of cases assigned to each magistrate and judge from Judiciary to October 2024, invoking the Right to Access Information Act of 2013. However, CHADI said the judiciary has failed to comply with this legal request, raising serious concerns about the integrity of Sierra Leone's justice system. So this morning, to discuss these concerns, among many other things, in the studio we have been joined by Abdul Fatoma. He is Chief Executive CHADI, and of course flanked by Francis Moray, who is Public Relations Officer 2 of the Judiciary of Sierra Leone. Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure having you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, and always pleased to be here.
Indeed. From what I've just read, it appears as though you're quite a bitter man about the judiciary.
No, we are not bitter with the judiciary. We want to work, and we're working with the judiciary to ensure that the judiciary work within its obligation by the Constitution of Sierra Leone and all the law that the judiciary is subject to. And so with that, we want a judiciary that the people of this country will have confidence in, will have trust in. The current situation is not a situation that the people of this country have trust, if not all, or majority lack trust and lack confidence. I mean, we go to history, we have vivid evidence. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report clearly spells that. And most of the things highlighted from the Truth and Reconciliation report are still visible within the corridors of the judiciary of Sierra Leone. We are not bitter. We are calling out the judiciary to actually represent the interests of the people of this country. We ask for a simple thing, which the Constitution of this country mandates the judiciary to comply to. One, the IARC Act is a law of this country, and the information we requested for, these are public interest information that will guide not only civil society organizations, journalists, and members of the public. And the other information, we urge them to also do a proactive disclosure is of interest to any litigant or any citizen. If the young man here from the judiciary misbehave, if, I use if, I'm not saying if misbehave, you can only be able to file in a proper complaint when you know the code of conduct of judicial officials of the judiciary. If a litigant goes to the court and the court officials misbehave, you can only use the code of conduct to make a complaint, to raise issue. Otherwise, you may be speculating certain things that you are expecting, that this is how and when a judicial official should behave. And later, you'll be corrected. The next thing, ignorance of excuse. I mean, ignorance is not an excuse, right? So, you will get frustrated. So we ask them to upload the code of conduct of the judiciary on their website. They ignored that for a while. The acting CJ, he was there when we did that. He left without even having a courtesy to acknowledge receipt of our request. And Right to Access wrote them. They never responded to both our institution and a state institution. it was lighter from October, lighter, and they get back to us this year. That was last month, February, and telling us that they are working on transition. That's what the letter stated. And they now acknowledge receipt of our letter. They're looking into our request, but their website is not up and running based on the letter. I can share that letter with you guys. And when their website will be up and running, they will upload this information. I mean, that means the code of conduct. So, if the judiciary is shying away to actually tell people that the discrepancies in figures, either, I know 3 of them, I've paid 3 of them, you know, on national radio and national television. You may not even know who you'll be meeting with among the 3. So this one we gives you figures that is quite different than the other figure the other colleague gave from the other program. I have records of programs that I sat with them, and if they want to deny that, I can call the figure that Moray, the other guy, and the other guy. I will bring their own figures and even record both on AYV 98.1, Epic, you know, another station. And the outgoing acting Chief Justice, there was a program at State House. I attended that event. He gave the catalog of cases that were before the court by them, because I think the State House wanted both the executive arm, the legislative arm, and the executive to give an update of President BO administration. So Parliament gave their own number of legislations and agreements that have passed. And the Judiciary, the very outgoing Chief Justice, read out the amount of criminal cases, the amount of civil cases, and the amount of discharge cases. And now, we have asked, under the law, not outside of the law, can you please help us? Like the other guy was on Radio 98.1 lying to the people of this country that we ask for a day-to-day cases. We ask the time of our request that from January to October, cases that has been assigned to individual magistrate courts and individual judges from magistrate court level to Supreme Court. We just want to know, I mean, it says, we don't want to get the details, who are before the court. Yes, please.
Fatoma, Moray, these allegations seem very grave. Fatoma has catalogued a number of issues, one amongst which, from his explanation, spans from a report which was read verbatim by the former CJ, which they requested for. It paints a worrying situation as to the current state of things within the judiciary. Is it a matter of cooking stories that have been presented to the president, more so when these informations are yet to be made public as per the request Chadi has asked for?
Well, as a law-abiding institution that derives its authority from the ground norm that governs this nation, which is the 1991 Constitution, we are minded to discharge our duties with fairness, independence, and impartiality, as stated in sections 120, 123 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone. Now, the Constitution is clear on what our mandate is, in as much as we are minded to comply with all the laws that have been enacted within this jurisdiction. Our primary function, our primary objective is that we administer justice to the length and breadth of this country in an expeditious manner. So we are minded to concentrate on that wholly and solely, while we acknowledge that there are other democratic requirements through legislations that ought to be met, which is one vehicle that Mr. Fatoma has planned. And we have over and again said, Judiciary is a cumbersome institution, and we are not an NGO organization. We are an arm of the government of Sierra Leone. So, be that as it may, we conduct ourselves in a manner that resonates with every laid down law in this country as it relates to democratic good governance. Now, justice is key, which the Constitution places heavy weight on. If you go to section 2, part 2 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, it is clear that under the fundamental principles of state policy, it is clear that the basic principle upon which this state is established is freedom, democracy, and justice, which makes justice key. Also going down under the motto of this nation, it speaks about unity, freedom, and justice. Twice under the fundamental principles of state policy has the principle of justice appeared in the Constitution, which is to tell you that is our most minded function as an institution.
So, I believe the question was why you haven't still published these.
I have to let the public know what we do. Now,
Right.
whilst we have not shied away from the need to comply with other laws that are in operation in Sierra Leone, with reference to the Right to Access Information Act, we have made frantic efforts to address the concerns of Mr. Fatoma, because we believe in the space that civil society occupies and plays in a democratic state. So we have made frantic efforts. The first step of that was we have acknowledged the receipt of his letter, and where we frantically stated that there are one or two constraints putting together what he had requested for due to transitioning from one administration to another. There are administrative inconveniences here and there. Judicial staff who are dealing with such cases have been transferred over the 1 year period. So getting those data.
Mr. Morgan, isn't there a secretary at the Judiciary?
Yes.
Isn't there a secretary, a desk secretary who perhaps, it should be easy, isn't it, the click of a mouse to get these things from
Yes.
your website, your data?
The click of a mouse.
Yeah.
We had anticipated.
Isn't it that
we
simple?
anticipate that
Okay.
it should be by the click of a mouse. We're running a system that is not digital.
Is the judiciary an
Wow.
exception to these provisions that are clearly established in the right to access information?
I'm coming somewhere. Victor has asked an
Okay.
important
And
another
I
important
suppose you'll
question.
answer same.
Yes, I'll delve into it. We are operating an institution that is not digital for the time being, due to administrative.
How does it make you feel,
issues
mostly in the
here and
21st
there.
century,
In the 21st century,
to
well,
say we have a judiciary that is not operating?
that should be another thing Mr. Fatoma should focus on. Rallying around the central government to increase budgetary allocation to us to ensure that we digitize
does
the
it require
institution.
rallying?
Stenographers, pardon?
Does it require rallying around government for the provision of same?
It requires resources. Justice is not cheap. It is expensive across the country. So for us to transition from that workload paper system to a digital system takes time. We have to ensure that all the documents from the establishment of the institution to this present date are being catalogued. So that takes time. Now to your question, we have not reneged in our responsibility to comply with the provisions of the right to access information. In fact, the first step is that he clearly will concede to is that we have acknowledged the letter he wrote to us, and in our response we have made clear what actions we have taken, the challenges we have faced with, and we assured him frantically that his request will be looked into within the shortest possible time. Now, that notwithstanding, there are other issues of relevance, of much importance that we are focused on. Now, recently we just opened a sexual offense court in Bo. Can you equate the desire to respond to a letter that we are working on? Every hand is on deck within the institution to ensure that those information he's asking for are readily provided within the shortest possible time, to opening a sexual offences model court in the eastern region of Sierra Leone, where victims of gender and sexual-based violence are given the utmost convenience to testify in the court system, protecting their rights and integrity as persons within this nation. Can you equate that to deploying judges just in February to regions across the country where there are no resident high court judges? That is more important, because accused persons are in correctional facilities awaiting trial. So we prioritize that, which is our constitutional mandate. Then, to tell you that frantic efforts have been made, we recognize his letter, receipt of it, and we wrote to him. To tell you that frantic efforts have been made, every information he has requested for is now readily available. That I can, it's news to him. Francis. We have not reneged. Governance is engagement.
Francis, as you talk of governance being engagement or whatsoever the case might be, how severely strained is the judiciary in administering justice to the people of this country? More so when we've seen a lot of allegations, one of which also from Fatoma is that of forum shopping within the judiciary of Sierra Leone.
Without any gainsaying, we are challenged in a number of issues. One I have just mentioned is digitizing the institution. This is the 21st century. We're still using our judges write out every evidence with hand on a piece of paper, insert sheet. At the end of the day, however voluminous that piece will be, they'll have to go through it, painstakingly go through it, and arrive at judgment. If a judge has 30 cases assigned to him, inclusive of murder, where jurors are included and a number of witnesses are going to testify, that judge will have to go through all of that evidence, get them typed before he will arrive at his judgment at the end of the day. So we are challenged, one, but the most important issue we are faced with is money. It is money. If you equate what comes to the judiciary as against what goes to the other two arms of the government of Sierra Leone, it is a cause for concern.
Mr. Mo, I mean, it's equally disturbing and, it's progressive to hear all of these things you're painting. I mean, 21st century, you are in 2025, and the judiciary cannot even boast of a typist who will be digitizing, the judges, summary and quote as someone is dishing them out. What I wanted to ask is, do you feel it's a case of being negligent about the judiciary? Is the government really serious about the rule of law in Sierra Leone? Do you think, in your opinion, given the many problems you have outlined this morning? It seems as though you are cashless as a judiciary.
We, in platforms like this, we are minded to say the government is our biggest sponsor, and but that notwithstanding,
even the need of no computers and
that notwithstanding, sometimes we have to solicit support from our international partners, like for electronic devices, computers for our judges. We'll reach out to our partners, UNDP, UNICEF, they chip in. But that budgetary allocation is small. As I speak to, we have judges within the institution who do not have vehicles, official vehicles assigned to them. We have magistrates, of course, in the provinces who have to have, when judges go to the provinces, we hire vehicles. From private institutions, we hire vehicles, we pay for the vehicles to take them to the provinces. So without trivializing the relevance of budgetary allocation to the institution, there's much we can do if the funds are really made available. Why do you think we only have the sexual offences model court, for instance, in Kailau and the most recent in Bo? There are plans to replicate that across the country. There are also equally sexual offense cases happening in Kono, in Kabala, in Kamakwe. If the funds are available, we will readily ensure that that court is replicated in those other parts of the country. But we are constrained. Now, even for like for infrastructural development, we will see we are not yet there. Even within the capital here in Freetown, the traditional court we have there are not enough spaces.
Mr. Moria, I do admire the abacadabra you are playing at the judiciary, but you said earlier that you are a law-abiding institution.
Of course.
Would you say you are law-abiding when you have flagrantly, denied the Right to Access Information Act?
We have not.
A pellucid example.
No, we have not. I was making a case. I was making a case before you posed the question of what challenges we are faced with as an institution. I have said we have made frantic efforts to address the letter sent in by Mr. Fatoma. And I said, we have put together every request, every information he is requested for, it has been put together now. Now, I did say that governance is engagement. Now, upon the receipt of our letter, which he responded to, nothing debars Mr. Fatoma from going to the institutions to say, I'm still waiting. Governance is engagement. You cannot walk into the judiciary today, a conservative institution we know it to be, and just want to solicit information here and there and then you run away with that.
You're saying his methodologies are flawed.
Had he employed the methodologies
he's employed that they are flawed, that he should have at least knocked on your door?
That is what I'm saying. Writing is not enough. We are an accountable institution. When you write to the institution, which we have responded to,
so it should chase the institution to
come back to the it's engagement.
Perhaps I would understand because I have always
lauded the space of civil society. One I have held to high esteem is Mr. Lavalley, whose recent publication says incentive-based performance should be the way. Now, increase the money you give the judiciary and measure its output at the end of the day based on what is being allocated. So if you engage us, let's say after the second letter he wrote, he didn't engage us and we didn't respond. Where would we have been? But now I am telling him that every information he is asked for has been put together before the end of this week, before tomorrow.
Okay.
He will file to his office.
Fatoma,
so that is the space where...
Well, it seems as though your problem is solved.
Fatoma, what sort of an imbalance
so there is a void for engagement.
What sort of an impact does these imbalances has on the credibility and efficiency of the judiciary of Sierra Leone?
Well, hearing from the judiciary, we should be disappointed. And we should be worried as a country. If you listen to him, you can sense a lot of inconsistencies. You are very right putting to him that they flouted the law. The right to access information provisions is very clear, giving you 15 working days mandate to respond. And failing to do that is a violation. And he said no. And he have acknowledged several times here on this sofa that they have responded. And it was in February last month that they responded to a letter of request that was submitted in October. Are you getting
in October the previous year, you mean?
Yeah, last year, October. Are you getting the distance? And the law is very clear. And 123 plays an obligation. It's not an option.
Some always says they are transitioning.
No,
that's the excuse.
He knows that very well.
No, the transition happened. We wrote the letter in October. Whoever was kicked out was beyond October. Even beyond the 15 days requirement. So, do we care about somebody who took an entire report, presented to the president and other cabinet ministers, development partners, civil society, and now they are here telling us that they don't even have computer to work on? So that's their biggest constraint.
He seems to be saying that you should be advocating for them in that regard.
Yeah. Hold on, Victor. Let me address this issue. And the other situation is this. In 2019 to 2020, we put out Justice Under Lockdown, a policy brief. And we bring out 14 good recommendations, all in the welfare of the judiciary and judiciary staffs. I have been one advocate on radio and television, advocating for the better working condition of the judiciary. On this sofa, I mean, I've shared a platform with him. He may not acknowledge that because we go after the other wrong thing that they do. So they don't want us for that. So they may never acknowledge us for that. Right? But it's shameful, it's disgraceful. The judiciary that bound by the laws of this country to interpret law is in cool and cruisy, comfortable position to ensure that they disregard laws, boldly, proud that it's not a priority. And I don't know within him and the information from the other spokespeople from the judiciary which one is right. He said they opened a sexual offences court in the eastern part, but then the other information said the southern city of Bo. But he said the east, the province. So this is a conflicting thing, feeding people with unreliable information.
You think it's a case of unprofessionalism in communication?
For me, if you are representing the judiciary, you should be able to bring fact and factual information. Because by law, the judiciary is bound by two things: the law and the fact before any judge or magistrate. So if the judiciary is presenting information to the people of this country, it should have a strong element of fact than discrepancies in the information.
Is it a matter of integrity fading away within the judiciary?
Listen, the judiciary of Sierra Leone lacks integrity. As we speak, the registrar for the High Court under investigation for possible corruption allegation. The Supreme Court registrar under investigation for possible corruption allegation. Somebody from the civil registry or the filing room on suspension pending investigation for possible corruption allegation. So, and some of these things, he's aware, he may not say it, and if he don't say it, we go along. If you want to challenge it, I will spill it out, bring it more. If you have people who surround the Chief Justice, before things get to the Chief Justice, have been overwhelmed with massive corrupt allegations, that's a serious integrity challenge. You cannot tell me that's not.
Is there a problem of...
So when he talked about integrity, let's try to build what we're doing. One of the ways they should have done in complying with laid down laws. Even you give us that thing today, tomorrow, even, I mean, you used to say on programs that with a click of fingers, you guys can produce a data about cases that are before. I mean, you said that, the other two guys said that as well. We have the recordings.
That seems to be a problem.
So now, there is no computerized system of data, so they have to struggle. I mean, you were the one who said on this sofa, this very side I'm sitting now, that look, the judiciary is an institution. Even if the Chief Justice goes today, Samuel, you anchor that program and one of your colleagues, even the Chief Justice goes today, the judiciary should function and operate. Now, letter October, you respond to a letter in February, and even if the acting Chief Justice goes, it goes after October. And here you're telling us that it's transition. And the website is not working according to the letter they sent to us. How can you have a judiciary that having a lame or non-functioning website? Is that not a worry situation? Where do we go for information? Why do I need to knock the door of the judiciary for basic information the laws give me right to request for? Why do I need to engage with you? By the way, you and the other guys, we are all over the radio alleging that the judiciary is corrupt, and we, our organization, benefit from that corruption. And now we have asked you guys.
They who said that?
He said that on Epic Radio. We have the recording.
So,
he said, hold on, we have that on, what's the other station? Liberty. He and the other guy was saying that we were paid for asking for all of these things. But listen, coming back to your integrity question, we asked them, if you have this information, can't you help the Anti-Corruption Commission? We are now begging you. I can even give you money if you don't have it to computerize. I can hire people to help you investigate the benefit that we benefit from the corruption you allege the judiciary is going through. If you read paragraph 7 of their press release responding to us, they admitted there is a corruption in the end-to-end administration of the judiciary. And today we have seen the manifestation of their own press release to the public.
Mr. Mori, if you yourself have confirmed that the judiciary is corrupt, then what's left?
No, that is what is. That is what.
Can I share the press release with you? Paragraph 7.
Let me make a point. I'm always calm when it is Mr. Fatoma I am against, because you see there is this issue of you wanting to be in the public space, and presenting the issues as they are, and what is referred in journalism as a decent approximation of what the reality is. Much of what he's just done is being put as the decent approximation of
So
what
you
the
never
reality
said
is.
that?
Now, no, that's what I assume his position is. In respect of issues, he's made reference to a decent approximation of reality. Now, we are a communications team. Let me take it from there. The fact that anybody can wake up today and say you are going to this media, you are going to this media, means we are efficient in what we do. We don't handpick who should go. You are the most efficient, effective. You go there. We are a unit. We have the issues together. Communication is a management function. We sit at the helm of affairs to discuss issues. That being said, Mr. Fatoma should be responsible. Civil society is an integral part of democratic
Let me interject, please.
government.
I don't want to forget this. Do you deny that all of these guys as mentioned
I'm coming.
are not under investigation?
Don't deviate from the issues. I will address the issues. I will address the issues.
I will forget tomorrow.
I will remember. I will address the issues.
Remember to address those people who are under investigation.
I'll come there. I'll come there.
Okay.
When we make these appearances in these platforms, we are sure and guided by what we say. Now, Mr. Fatoma is alleging that we are inconsistent in what we do, which is dishonest to his profession and to the job he does. We have said, and which is the fact, that the sexual offences protocol was first opened in Freetown. There's another in the east in Kailao. I just made reference to that. The second was opened in the east in Kailao. This in the south is the third, the most recent that was opened over the weekend on Friday. What is the inconsistency? He's not being honest. There are 3 sexual offences model courts in the country operating. One in Freetown, one in Kailao, and another opened just last Friday. In both 3, what is the inconsistency? He's not being honest. So it brings me back to this point of integrity. Yes, in his letter he alleged previously, that was last year, that there were instances of corruption within the institution, and which we also came out strongly to respond as an institution, especially referencing the premium we place on civil society and this space they occupy. We were all over the place. Now we were responding to several press releases he had authored, citing issues we felt we are not proper. We responded to them accordingly. I'm not going to delve into that. For every institution, a public institution, however devoted the staff will be, there must be people who are determined to go against the laid down norms of that institution. You can't take it for even the anti-corruption has corrupt individuals there. You can't take it for. So we cannot shy away to say we have the highest standards of people who meet the highest standards in our institution. Even the police officers who are meant to uphold
But you are
the
administering
law
justice.
have been found wanting.
You are administering justice.
But that
This
does
has
not
nothing to
take
do
away
with
the
law.
fact that does not take away the fact that the human tendency in man wanting to double cross things will not show up. Now it is clear that in the instance we have been faced with any issue of an alleged wrong act by our staff, we're on record. We came here as a last year, we subjected many of our staff to disciplinary action according to the laid down laws of the institution. The Judicial Legal Service Commission was up to speed with that as I speak to you. Every time we have an issue, because we deal with people, we have done training, several trainings to tell them that this is an integrity issue. Your job is a public job. Ensure that you give your best. But when people do the contrary, approximately there will be an action to address what they have done, which is what is referenced. Now there have been issues of I'm coming. He has said a number of issues. Let me please respond.
Please briefly.
That people, this is not the first time individuals within the judiciary have been subjected to investigation for various acts. It dates way back from Justice Charm. It dates way back. We've had several instances where masters have been dragged to the Pademba Road. So it's not new, which he wants to place.
That doesn't paint a good picture for the judiciary.
Which he has placed heavyweight on. That is to tell you that we don't have scapegoats. We don't cover wrongdoings of our staff. We have made it clear by our code of ethics that when you are in the institution, you're working for the judiciary, you are bound to comply with the laid down norms of the institution. So that we weed them out. That we weed them out, we subject them to investigation means we have no scapegoats. Once you flout a laid down law or the ethics of your job, you'll be subjected to investigation.
It's more like the judiciary is constrained with a deficit in leadership. Is that the case?
No, it is not. It has never been deficit in leadership. We have been efficient at the helm of affairs. Now, the Constitution is clear. The head of the institution is the Chief Justice. The judicial power is vested in the judiciary, headed by the Chief Justice. At every point, we've had the Chief Justice who calls the shot within the institution.
These problems most times comes up when there is a lack of true leadership.
No, there has never been a lack of.
Most of these problems.
There has never been a lack of. There has never been a lack of fruit.
Mr. Mori, let me just go through some of these things I've read. You know, I took my time quite meticulously. I know the people who are dealing with the judiciary, they are very solid, so you have to be equally prepared. So I read through the internet, and you know, issues like fundamental issue like independence, for instance, you know, the judiciary is still struggling with that, impartiality. There are reports, the Battle Sam, you know, Steve Song's 2024 index, you know, says the judiciary is heavily influenced by political actors. Can you honestly indeed say the judiciary is independent when even the politicians cannot have a fair play in court?
The judiciary.
This report is one of the most credible reports you will ever come across.
Okay. As far as the institution stands and is operational, the judiciary operates without the interference of nobody whatsoever. We are mindful of the Constitution that we are meant to interpret. You see, we are the only independent arbiter of justice in this country. The only mechanism established by the state through which rights and responsibilities are upheld is the judiciary. We cannot be the one at the receiving end from instruction, from politicians here and there.
But that seems very clear with their own issue in Sierra. It seems very clear. We are in a bill. A bill wasn't granted to the lady for such a crime and misdemeanor, which you and I know. Doesn't warrant.
Let's not bury the many strides we have made in respect of bail.
But that's just one. That's just one.
Let's not bury.
That seems very empirical.
Let's not bury the many. Let's not bury the many. I'm concluding. Yes. Let's not bury the many strides we have made in respect of bail. Recently, when the Honourable Chief Justice took over, he's made several directives to ensure that the policy of bail, which he has interpreted as a human rights issue, is up and running. One, the time of processing bail. We have had instances where people have used the timing of when prisoners are taken back to the correctional facility to deliberately deny bail. Now, a policy is up and running to that effect that all bail applications before the court should be given the topmost priority, and between 12 to 1.
Was Hunt's bail an exception
between 12 to 1?
Exception to that provision?
I am coming. Between 12 to 1, all bail applications should be entertained. Now, for every case before the court, there are different operations. No two cases are the same. No two cases have the same fact. Now, in as much as bail is the default position, we've made that very clear across all national television. Bail is the default position. But when the judge or the magistrate before whom an accused person appears feels that admitting that accused person to bail will hinder the cause of justice, the laws make it very clear. Even the Criminal Procedure Act is clear on that, to say you, in the interest of expeditious justice, retain the accused person, remand them to ensure that speed is made with that case. So there's nothing wrong. If you can just be fair with the institution.
Mori,
we have tried politicians
in that matter.
We have tried the politicians. You can ask the state. You can ask the state.
Aren't you the spokesperson of the
Who was the plaintiff in that matter?
Cases who come before the court. Let me be clear with you. Cases come before from the magistrate court to the high court. Magistrate court, you have the police prosecutors. The IG can file a matter before the magistrate court. A private practitioner, legal practitioner can file a matter before the court. Now, when it comes to the state, when it comes to the high court, the state is in charge of all prosecutions.
Our Hunt was a case celebi, if you ask me.
So, if the state is in charge of all cases tried before, all criminal offences tried before the High Court, it means the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, we are in conduct of their case, they are the prosecutors. Now, when they come back to you to say, we offer no evidence against this person, means they are satisfied based on their modus operandi to say, we are free to drop charges, which the Constitution only mandates.
When the figures were very clear.
Well, I don't want to know about triggers. That is their job. What we do is to try the persons they have brought to us. Now, when they come back to us, by reason of the Constitution, which the DPP will do, is to say, I drop all criminal charges against this accused person, which they did. We honored. So, you see,
let's hear from Fatuma.
Baseless generalizations.
Let's hold you there and
yes, you've been accused of dishonesty as well. Mori accuses you of dishonesty.
It's information to say it's two courts.
Did I say two courts?
Yes, you did. But
I said you make mention of South.
Yes.
I mean the East.
Yes.
Which of course another.
No, but you are not being honest.
No, listen.
No, you are not being honest.
What did I say there? Can we replay back?
The moderators.
No, I mean they are here. I said that you make mention of the East. You misinformed by telling us the court has opened in the East.
And
listen. That was then. But recently, we're talking about the recent, and you are urging us for actually listen. You were also urging. Can you respect me? I was.
You are not being fair.
No,
I
was listening to you.
If you are being humble, to say you made a mistake.
Listen,
let's move on.
Let's all
what was my mistake?
Because you flagrantly misinformed the public. I made reference to 3 courts. I said one in the East and the most recent in the South.
You never said that in your earlier submission.
Well, the listeners will judge.
You said we have opened a court in the East part.
So let's shove that aside. You've listened to Mo speak.
I mean, you always want to be disrespectful, not to me, but the public.
Mr. Fatuma, stick to the issue.
No, I mean, to the public. If now you go through
the public is disrespectful to the public also.
Okay, if I disrespect the public, I mean, the public will judge that.
Fatuma, speak to the issue, please.
Respect my own timing now. Don't interrupt. He would not be honest, as you put to him, to actually say we don't have political interference in the judiciary. As much as
I said so.
Can you respect the people who are listening?
Don't misinform Mr. Fatuma.
No, can you respect the people? No, can you respect the people?
Please allow.
Don't disrupt this. I mean, is this how the judiciary operates and behave to the people of this country?
Mr. Fatuma.
That they no, but
I directly answered the question. I said
okay, you are the moderators.
There are no interferences.
You are the moderators.
Continue.
You put into him that he should respond in a honest position. We will not get a honest response from him that the executive arm is not interfering with judicial affairs in this country. These are things that are factual. Off the record, he will admit to it, but he may not say that because he cannot be honest for a few seconds and his family go without food on the table. We are in a country where he wants to be a frank and truthful person and giving out accurate information. The next thing, they will accuse him of not being with them. He's against us. Right? So this is the kind of country. I feel pity for public relations people who work for government institutions in this country because the truth is never their friend. That's the absolute thing. Now, we have a matter. The First Lady of this country come up and say, no, I was not even aware of this particular issue, but I'm asking. Good. The same executive arm that supervise the financial activities of the judiciary, that's the office of the AG. It is the same body that brought the matter before the judiciary. And the next morning we woke up, matter that judiciary was denying bail over and over. And now they are well comfortable to discharge and acquit to discharge the matter, right? On other several instances, members of the executive flout court order. The judiciary will make their order, and because some of these guys are ministers, they actually don't comply. And the enforceability of that become dormant. And when you cannot fully discharge your responsibility with the fear of that the pioneer post in Andy, it becomes a weak situation in your independence. Where is your independence as an institution? If he wants to learn as a young man, he can go and read our policy brief. Justice under lockdown, where we gave a catalogue of historical challenge and some of the issues we are still, and he was saying, Mr. Fatoma should focus on the area of our finance. You have not been following. You are only be disrespecting us. So look, since in the 70s, we moved the judiciary treasury and to put everything into the consolidated form. That was a move to actually get the judiciary at the beck and call of the executive. Because if the judiciary have an independent treasury, just the filing and court fines and other things, that is quite sufficient to provide official vehicle. The last time I told him that it's high risk for you to be riding keke, running to station or Okada. It's dangerous for you, and there is no insurance even for you. So we should have a judiciary. I've been talking that. I mean, I spoke to the finance minister and other people.
We've had barrage of messages on our Facebook page.
Okay,
it's high time we, of course,
just few of them. We don't even have much time.
Of course, we're all sharing our videos from that end. First to mind is from Abdullahi Balasharif, who says, hearing from the PRO about they are reluctant to provide access to information to the civil servant, to the civil society organization, he was about to say, it's so horrible and unjustified. This is called Sierra Leone Judiciary. This so-called Sierra Leone Judiciary is the main auxiliary and politically financed government institution for the massive corruption. It is so horrible that our national judiciary doesn't have digitalized access to information to the public. Even our low-level information institutions are now digitalized, such as the Bonto blogs, among others.
This one is from Swissman. He says, I think if the judiciary is suspending people on the grounds of corruption, it means the judiciary is working, and they're working hard to fight corruption. If the judiciary is not working, they won't have suspended people who have found wanting on corruption. That a great performance by the judiciary. All I'm saying is that the current Chief Justice is here to work in the best interest of the people. I pray that God will give him the wisdom to succeed in his work and to install justice in the country. My respect to the current Chief Justice of the Republic of Sierra Leone. That's from Swissman.
Last one is from Abbas Habib Kokabangali, who says, if the judiciary puts their priorities straight, there will be no bad governance in Sierra Leone. And as much as they refuse to be independent because of their corrupt practices, they are very compromising with any government in power.
Mosdi is saying, that's my final for this morning, the politicians drive around in the latest and expensive cars, building mansions, and yet cannot provide computers for the most important of places like schools, universities, hospitals, police stations, registrars, and the judiciary. What are these guys doing? Just briefly, a few seconds just to respond to these messages. Maury, you can start.
We first and foremost thank the Texans for the concerns and the issues they have raised. I have spoken to every issue Mr. Fatoma has raised this morning. We operate an independent and impartial institution that is devoid of any directive from any executive or quarters. And for the Texans, one was clear to say, well, I've responded to that we are not subject to the directions or control of anybody, to that Texas. To the other person who said, well, that we are naming out people and subjecting them to investigations and inquiries means we detest every form of corruption. That is the position of the institution. This has not been just this movement that it started. It started way back. Everybody who is named to have done something illegal within the institution against our codes of ethics, you'll be subjected to the full force of the law, and where you are found wanting, you'll be dealt with accordingly. We have done that time and over and again. We are determined to be focused on our constitutional mandate, which is to deliver justice to the length and breadth of this country. Whilst we also recognize that it is our place, which is why we have put together the request he's made as an NGO, a civil society organization, to say before the end of this week, every information he has will be made available. That he should be responsible and engage more before he runs to the press to make baseless accusations.
Yeah, Fatoma, quickly.
It seems your prayers have been answered.
When the judiciary becomes very irresponsible and reckless with handling sensitive issues to the people of this country, it's worry. You see, you're interrupting. Why are you sweating under this?
Don't expose yourself. You're just exposing yourself.
So now,
a decent person
look. A delay. Respect the people. Give me time.
You are being disrespectful.
No, you behaving recklessly, just like the judiciary. Don't interrupt. He's interrupting. I mean,
just
please,
but
we don't have much time. Just a few seconds. We have other guests to do.
All right.
This is
So
a
now,
platform.
enjoy the delay in cases. A ruling since 2021 to date.
Respond to the text messages.
The individual is currently waiting for just a ruling from a judge since 2021, and this is 2025. The matter is in Bo, and it was before Justice Ganda. I have the case number.
Aren't you happy that what you requested is finally prepared?
No.
It's being prepared well? You will get it by the end of this week, as you said?
Before the end of this week.
No, listen, what we requested, I mean, it's their statutory obligation to comply.
Okay.
We are not begging. And he was suggesting that we should have an engagement with them. Sending a letter is an engagement. I don't know which order.
That letter is taking a step further.
No, listen, if we send a letter, you have the responsibility to reply. If you want to engage us, invite us in your response. We can sit with you.
I was asking that to chase them in their offices.
But we can't do that. If that is what
given
he
that
consider for being irresponsible or not being responsible, we are fine with that.
We want to thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for gracing our program this morning. It's been quite interactive. It's been two guys, Mr. Mori from the Judiciary of Sierra Leone, and of course, Fatoma from Chadi. These guys have actually heated each other on the head this morning, which is quite nice, good for the health of this program.
And for democracy.
Indeed, for democracy as well.
So with that being said, we go for a short commercial break. We'll be right back, and when we come back, we shall continue the rest of the program. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone.